If you have a toxic family member in your life and you're not ready to cut them off, or maybe you've already decided that you never will, but you also cannot keep showing up to every interaction and leaving completely destroyed, this video is for you. Because the conversation around toxic family members has become very binary. Cut them off or keep suffering. Go no contact or accept the abuse. And while no contact is absolutely the right choice for some people, it's not the only choice. And for a lot of people, it's not a realistic one. At least not yet. And in some cases, maybe not ever. Telling someone to just cut them off is the laziest advice on the internet, and it completely ignores the reality of what family actually costs people to walk away from. So, what do you do in the meantime? What do you do when the toxic family member is your parent and you're not ready to walk away from that relationship entirely? What do you do when cutting them off means losing access to other family members that you love? What do you do when your culture or your faith or your circumstances make no contact feel impossible? What do you do when you still love them even though they hurt you? You learn how to protect yourself without disappearing from your own life, and that's what this video is about. First, let's be honest about what you're actually dealing with. A toxic family member is not just someone who is difficult or annoying or occasionally thoughtless. A toxic family member is someone whose consistent pattern of behavior leaves you feeling worse about yourself. Someone who dismisses your feelings, manipulates your emotions, makes you feel responsible for their well being, uses guilt as a weapon, or treats you differently from how they treat other people in ways that are deliberately diminishing. The keyword here is consistent. Everyone has bad ways, and everyone says something that they regret sometimes. But a toxic family member does this reliably, and they do it in ways that always seem to serve them and cost you. Love is not a reason to keep accepting behavior that is slowly destroying you. You can love someone and still protect yourself from them. Those two things are not in conflict. And here's what makes it so complicated: they are family, which means the history is long. The love is real even when the behavior is harmful. The stakes feel higher, the guilt feels bigger, the obligation feels deeper, and that complexity is real. And anyone who tells you it's simple to just cut someone off and move on has never had to grieve a parent or a sibling or an aunt who raised them while simultaneously protecting themselves from that same person. It's not simple, but it is survivable and it is manageable. So here's what actually works if you decide that you have a toxic family member and you're not ready to cut them off yet. The first thing is to stop trying to change them. This is where most people pleasers lose enormous amounts of energy because we believe, because we have to, because the alternative is too painful, that if we just communicate better, if we just set the boundary more clearly, if we just help them to understand how their behavior affects us, that they will change, that they'll finally get it, that they will finally become the family member that we need them to be. They won't. Not because change is impossible, but because change requires someone to want to change. And a toxic family member has and a toxic family member who has been operating this way for years, who has faced no real consequences, who has always had someone in the family to smooth things over, who has always been able to rely on your people pleasing to reset the dynamic, has no reason to change. You're not going to love them into changing. You're not going to explain them into changing. Stop spending your energy trying. The second thing is to get very clear on what you will and will not engage with. This is not the same thing as setting a boundary and announcing it. This is an internal decision that you make before you ever walk into a room with them. You decide in advance, I will not defend my life choices to this person. I will not explain my relationship to this person. I will not get drawn into a debate about my parenting or my career or my body with this person. When those topics come up, and they will, you have a simple response ready. Something like, I'm not going to talk about that, or let's change the subject, or simply saying nothing and moving on. You are not obligated to engage with every provocation. Silence is a complete response. The third thing is to limit the information that you share with them. Toxic family members use information. They store things that you've told them and bring them back at the worst possible moment. They share your personal information with other family members without your permission. They use your vulnerabilities against you when they want to get to you. So stop giving them ammunition. Keep your conversation surface level. Talk about neutral topics. You don't owe them access to your inner life just because they're family. The less they know about what matters to you, the less they have to work with. The fourth thing is to shorten your exposure. You don't have to stay the whole gathering. You don't have to answer every call. You don't have to respond to every message immediately. But you are allowed to show up late and leave early. You are allowed to step outside for air when the room gets too heavy. You are allowed to say that you have somewhere to be. Reducing the amount of time you spend in their presence is not abandonment. It's self-preservation. The fifth thing is to stop absorbing their emotional state. This is the hardest one for people pleasers because we're hardwired to feel responsible for the people around us. If they're in a bad mood, we feel like we caused it, or we go into fixing mode. We need to fix it. If they're upset, we feel guilty even when we did nothing wrong. If they're playing the victim, we feel the pull to rescue them. Their emotional state is not your responsibility. You didn't cause it. You cannot fix it. And trying to manage it is costing you way more than you realize. Let them feel what they feel. Let them be upset. Let them be disappointed. Let them be in a bad mood. And practice staying in your own emotional lane instead of crisscrossing into theirs. Every time you absorb someone else's emotional state to keep the peace, you are teaching them that their mood is more important than your well-being. And they're learning that lesson. And I want to be honest here. I spent years of my life crisscrossing into that lane. Years making myself responsible for moods that I didn't create and feelings that I couldn't fix. I spent years shrinking my own experience to make room for everyone else's. And every time I did it, I got a little smaller and they got more comfortable, taking up space that should have been mine. That pattern of absorbing other people's emotional states at the cost of your own is exactly what the People Pleaser's Emotional Reset Guide helps you to interrupt. It walks you through how to come back to yourself after those interactions, how to recognize what's yours and what isn't, how to stop carrying what was never yours to carry. It's completely free and the link is in the description. The sixth thing is to find support outside of the family system. This is non-negotiable. When you are navigating a toxic family member, you need at least one person outside of that system who sees clearly what's happening and can reflect reality back to you. Because toxic family dynamics are very good at making you feel like you're the problem, like you're overreacting, like everyone else is fine with this, so why aren't you? You need someone who isn't inside the system to remind you that your perception is valid. That might be a therapist, a trusted friend, a community of people who have been through the same thing. Whatever it is, find it. Because trying to survive a toxic family member completely alone is one of the hardest things that a person can do. And if you've ever been in a conversation with a toxic family member and they said something that hit you so hard that you just shut down, you froze, you couldn't respond, you went blank, and then kicked yourself for days afterwards for not saying anything. And the Freeze Response Recovery Kit gives you exactly the words for those moments. Scripts for the real conversations, the ones where your nervous system shuts down and your mouth stops working. So you never have to leave another conversation wishing you had said something. The link is in the description. Here's what I want to say before I go. Choosing not to cut someone off does not mean choosing to keep suffering. It means choosing a different kind of protection. It means deciding that you can be in a relationship with someone at whatever distance feels safe without giving them access to the parts of you that they have historically used to hurt you. You get to decide how much access people have to you, even family, especially family. The door does not have to be all the way open or all the way closed. You're allowed to leave it exactly as open as feels safe for you. And if that changes, if you get to the point where even the smallest opening costs too much, you're allowed to close it then too. Healing is not linear, and your decisions about who gets access to you are not permanent. They're just what you need right now. Give yourself permission to need what you need right now. If this video resonated with you, subscribe for weekly videos on healing from toxic family dynamics and people-pleasing patterns. Comment below, what's the hardest part of dealing with a toxic family member that you're not ready to cut off? I read every single comment, and I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care.